table with Mrs. Zanetta McGraw, a licensed mental health counselor. Yes, we've been friends for about 4 years, and she has been helping me see a lot of stuff with the industry and how everything has been going on with medicine, psychology, and mental health, and everything like that. We want to bring her to the table. Good morning, Miss Zanetta. How you doing?
Hey JR, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing today? Tell my community, tell my new followers and old followers who you are, where you from, and we start like that.
All right. So my name is Zanetta McGraw. I am a licensed mental health counselor from the St. Petersburg, Florida, where I was born and raised my entire life. Now reside in Tampa Bay, well, Brandon. I am, as JR indicated, a licensed mental health counselor, a certified life coach, and what I call myself a well-being strategist. I own a counseling group practice by the name of New Vision Behavioral Health, where I am the founder and CEO and also a full time therapist. We are in both Tampa Bay as well as the Texas area. So glad to be on here with you, JR.
Man, glad to be on here with you. Hold on, let me do this for you real quick.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna hold my trophy. I'm gonna hold my trophy.
Definitely, we love it. Also, too, don't forget to mention your sorority that you're part of. Let us know where you let's talk about it. Come on.
Okay, okay. I forgot. I'm in the presence of another fellow Greek.
You already know.
I am part of the sorority Delta Sigma Theta Sorority
Okay.
Incorporated,
Very
where I
good.
have been since, yes, 2019. Yeah, ooh, almost forgot. 2019. And so, us Greeks, we have to give each other that
Definitely.
respect.
I'm a Sigma man, so blue fire. You already know what time it is, So
I know.
you saw me along my journey and everything I had to go through to get to who I am today. And we was talking about it offline. Thank you for what you do in the mental health, space and things that you've been doing and doing it for years. And you started off at the VA. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about your experience helping veterans at the VA.
Sure, for sure. So I worked for the VA for 12 and a half years, where I had the honor of serving veterans who served us. My last 7 years, I worked specifically with veterans who were called what we call dually diagnosed, meaning they had both mental health and addiction needs. And so my job was to help them get a job. But quickly into my work, I realized that these veterans weren't able to secure employment. They weren't able to keep employment. And so a lot of their mental health and their addiction showed up and interfered with their ability to keep a job. And so I knew that there was a need to not just get these veterans employed, but to treat the core issues that have been complicating their life, majority of their lives.
Right, right, and I love that fact that you talking about the veterans because a lot of people they tend to skip over that situation and you know a lot of our family and friends dear friends and families and brothers and sisters are somewhat capacity served in the military, so we should not forget the things that they went through, especially the ones that came before us. I'm an Iraqi, Afghanistan vet, but the ones in World War One, World War Two, Vietnam, Korean War, Panama, all these wars that we can't forget. But I know that my 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 time in service opened up the doors for a lot of the service members that came before us because they didn't have a voice and they didn't have
Yeah.
nobody understood what they were going through. So can you tell me about the things that you experienced while you were serving our veterans in the VA hospital?
Sure, for sure. A lot of them had trauma as their root. Many of them had childhood trauma, and they escaped their environment and tried to escape themselves by serving their country and joining the military, finding a meaning bigger than themselves, right? And for a lot of them, it worked, but those that I served, a lot of them, it did not work. They kept running into themselves, even into the military, and so some of them were dishonorably discharged or under honorable discharge and had to learn how to rebuild their lives. Even though they served their country, they weren't respected in a lot of spaces, and they really had to try and find new identity at that stage of their life. And some of them were 50, 60, 70, and some of them were in their early 20s. And so I saw a myriad of struggle that wasn't age specific, really. And so that was so fulfilling for me to be able to assist veterans without having any level of military experience and just see them as people, right? Hear their story, not judge them for how they got discharged or what happened in the military, but help them rebuild their lives. And so that set the platform for me desiring to help people rebuild their lives. I knew I wasn't just called to veterans. I
Right.
knew I was called to the masses. And so that led to me just following the voice of the Lord and leaving my full-time job. I was a single mom of two, and I had just finished school, and I felt God telling me to go out and go full-time in my practice.
Mm.
And that's where the journey began.
And that's why we want to talk about where the journey before the journey and where the journey
Yeah.
began. Before that, tell me how you was as a little girl growing up. How was your character?
Oh, thanks for asking. So I was always odd and different and lonely. Like I was literally a lonely child. My birth story started with mental health. So my mom had her own mental health. She was depressed when she was pregnant with me, and she gave birth to me depressed. And so when I was born, I came out, I was like a gray color, and they said I had blue baby syndrome. And the doctors told my mom she will be depressed for the rest of her life.
Mm.
And I don't know what my mom did with that information, but I never got any help. Back then, they didn't have infant mental health. Now they do, but they didn't have that then. So I just remember growing up and being really sad all the time, tearful all the time, and just kind of feeling like I was always alone. The best thing my mom could have done was introduce me to my faith. And so my relationship with God is what I would say kept me and helped me feel something, even as a child. Grew up with childhood sexual abuse, unfortunately. And so all of these things were just adding up in my world. But by the grace of God, I had the resilience to push through and still be striving towards the things that I was passionate about, getting a college education, helping other people. I think I got to a point to where I realized I wanted to give people something I didn't get because I silenced my own voice. I didn't tell anybody what I was going through. And so I didn't get a chance to get that level of support that I now am able to give to young children and also adults.
Definitely, and I love that too because I always like to hit, especially when I bring people to the motivators table. I like people to understand why do I bring you to the motivators table. First of all, I'm
Mm,
inspired by you. First of all, I see everything you're doing in the community. So, and third of all is that I understand the mission. Right? I was
yeah.
that kid. I was misunderstood. I didn't have a voice. My mother passed away when I was small. My dad did his best as a black man to raise us in society where back in the 80s and 90s it was said a man, let alone a black man, can raise his kids right, right? And
Yep.
I think he did a good job with us. Yes, we suffer and we struggled, but if you fast forward to now, me and my big sister, we're doing pretty good right now, even though we still struggle with our disabilities and mental health challenges and stuff like that.
Yep.
But you know, we're happy. And when I met you, we were both going through the lowest part of our life,
Hmm.
lowest. And you was going through situations where you didn't want to be approached by anybody. And I was working at a gym, being a janitor because I just lost my $1 million company, and I was working in the same community that when I lost it, nobody offered me help. So I was
Yeah.
embarrassed, but God was like, stay there. And we got
Yeah.
to know each other and talk to each other and uplift each other and be each other's support as a true friend. And I want to tell you live on air, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on my platform. I appreciate you for just giving me space, just somewhere to talk
Mm.
to. A lot of us as humans, especially men, we don't have a safe space to talk. And when we
Yeah.
do speak about the sensitivities of things that we go through, we might not be judged in, but we start losing a lot of a lot of value because people think we're weak when we speak that we need help. And you didn't
Yeah.
do it for me. And let alone, I didn't even know you was a licensed mental health counselor. You was going through your
Right.
own situation. So I didn't know that you were that, but God led me to speak to you and us to become really good friends. And, you know, fast forward now, like we've been in each other's life for about 4 years, 4 or 5 years. You spoke
Hmm.
at conferences, you got married, all these things I pushed forward to what I'm doing, and said that was all was going to happen with the right timing. And I appreciate you for just taking your time to pour into me, because look where it got me right now. It got me confidence, got me to
Yeah.
allow myself to activate my own gift and say, hey, JR, run with this mantle, regardless what everybody else is saying, do you. And I want to
Yeah.
put you live on air because not only are you paid to do it, you do it just because you love to do it. And we love you for doing that because you don't know what lives you're saving. You saved my life back then, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I needed that
Wow.
conversation from a woman just to say it's gonna be okay. Just continue to
Yeah.
put. Even I would call you, you would answer the phone, out the blue. You would talk to me and just give me hope and give me something a guiding light to just to lead to. So I appreciate you for that, and I wanted to give you your flowers for that because people don't know them stories. You were going
Yeah.
through your own situations and you didn't want to talk. About that. So can we talk about the situations that you was going through? You don't have to put names on it, but that you didn't even want to talk to the opposite sex because you were going through situations. Can we talk about that?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for saying that. Yeah, when we met JR audience, JR had like he didn't know me from Adam, and he stopped me when I was coming in and out of gym. I always had the stank face coming in and out of gym because the gym was my safe place, right? I didn't have to be a therapist in the gym. I didn't have to be Zanetta the mom in the gym. I just got to just unpack or whatever. And so I was coming in and out. I had just gotten out of a domestic situation with someone that I was dating at the time that I thought I was going to lose my life in. And I had, at that point, I was trying to avoid having PTSD. So I was treating myself. And, but my mind and my emotions were all over the place. And so the last thing I wanted to do was meet another guy, have another guy talk to me and disrupt that process of me trying to heal myself. And so when JR had approached me, he was just simply speaking. I was like, hey. And then he like went into this long conversation about his life and military and all that. I was like, I'm not at work. But this is why it's important that when there's a calling on your life and God is using you, you can't pick and choose how and where he's going to use you.
Say that
There
again.
when there is a calling on your life and God is going to use you, you cannot pick and choose how he's going and where he's going to use you. If
Mm,
you're going to be a mantle, you will always be a mantle. And so
right.
sometimes that may look like when you on E, you having to kind of strap up and show up. That doesn't mean you pour from an empty cup,
Mm,
but that just means you don't neglect the gift.
mm,
Because, honey, not everybody knows their calling. Not everybody is able to walk in their calling. And so we have the privilege and the opportunity to know who we are and who we're supposed to touch. We got to show up that way. And so I'm so grateful that I didn't allow my emotions and my flesh and me being so caught up in me to keep me from getting to know somebody and later on realizing the impact that I had in your life. And so I appreciate that. But yeah, I was going through my own mental struggle and I was here I go again trying to repair another trauma. And that's what I was feeling like. Like here I go. I've been through trauma all of my life. Here I am in 40 plus and I got new trauma. What do I look like being in a domestic situation? I'm a therapist, I'm this and I'm that. And that just shows us that life can happen to any of us.
right.
Life can happen to any of us at any time and we don't see it coming. And so this is why in my work I'm so passionate about giving people the tools and strategies of how to manage the complexities of life.
Mm,
Whether we can predict them, it'd be great if we can predict trauma. It'd be great if we can predict death. But most of the time we cannot predict the things that happen to us. And so we become skilled at being good managers of the complexities of life. We have the ability and the resilience to to keep going, to take a licking and keep on ticking.
mm. I love that because that's exactly who you are. And I didn't know you were struggling at the time, but God led me to speak to you and say, "Hey, every day, hey, how you
Yeah,
have a good day? Hey, how you doing?"
yeah,
And it was
yeah,
for me too because I was struggling too, and I was having suicidal thoughts and more ideations that was because I lost
mhm,
everything, and I thought that the things that I built
mhm,
that it would stand because I built it for the veterans, but I didn't even get respected from that situation either because when I failed, 400 people didn't even come looking for me. So I was forced
yeah,
to get out, and I got out the house to go be a janitor. And God was like, nobody else would
yeah,
hire me. Nobody else would hire me. Even with a master's degree, nobody else would hire me. And I remember failing at my business, and I'm in school for my master's, and I'm like, you know what? I'm valuable out here. and I started sending the applications. No bites, no bites at all. Nobody wanted me, and you know how that feels after serving so long in the
Mm-hmm.
military and understanding who you are, and then say, you know what, I got my associates, I got my bachelor's, I'm going to school back to get my master's in business because I failed in business, and nobody wanted to hire me. And then the gym hired me and said,
Yeah.
you got to start from the ground up. You got to be a janitor, and I was like, what?
But nobody even knew you were a janitor. Let me interrupt you. Like I thought you were like a manager. You didn't show up as a janitor. You showed up as a manager. And I
Yeah,
think that in itself is that's a whole nother word.
yeah,
Because while you may have been cleaning toilets, you were showing up, you were more friendlier than the people that were supposed to be managers. You were speaking to everybody that came in. You've always had a smile. And so your kindness, right, despite what you were going through, your kindness was never touched.
mm,
Your kindness was the one thing that didn't get scarred in in that whole situation because you were still so kind and so pleasant to people. And I think that's what drew me in. And it wasn't on some like intimate, oh, he trying to holler at me stuff. It was just like, I don't want to be nice right now. And this guy is so nice that I can't even be mean to him. Like I just want to just be me.
right.
And so yeah, so I thank God for you just being kind because I'm sure I was not the only person in that gym that you were able to support, you were able to uplift despite what you were going through.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I appreciate you because that's how God wanted me to show up as. It was like, 'cause my dad, people don't know, my dad's a bishop, but for 30 years, he started off as a janitor at MTA, Metro Train Association in California, MTA, huge train and bus transportation. And now he's the lead janitor for about 100 of them. And he's got
Wow.
2 years left. And I saw my dad serve at all these levels. So when God spoke to me and said, hey, you're going to have to speak life into yourself, but you're going to have to get out this house because it's dark here. And when I went into the job,
Mm,
it started me as janitor. I read over 200 books, getting my life back together, speaking life into myself, getting confidence day by day as I showed up for myself. First, I was very selfish after that bankruptcy. I said, you know what? I'm going to take care of me first. And that would catapult me to where I'm at now because I struggle not only losing my business, I struggle with PTSD from the military, 3 combat deployments to Afghanistan,
yep.
was as a contractor, losing 25, you know what I'm saying, friends in combat, Bronze Star, all these things I suffered, and then past trauma from growing up, my mother, you know, dying of AIDS, crack cocaine, living on Skid Row, even myself being homeless, going to the county jail, all these things that
Hmm.
that made up who I am. And when I started to go down,
Hmm.
all this stuff took over my life. But God
Yeah.
said, "Angel," and you used to speak to me, and after we got to know each other, you would leave me with quotes, you would tell me, you would talk. And when I started to regain my strength and my new version of myself, I created this conference. And I had
Hmm.
a vision of the people that played a pivotal part in my life, getting me back to
Hmm.
that point, bringing them on stage. And we did that. Can we talk about that time we had when we did Shake the Room conference in 2023 and 24?
Yep, yep. I remember you called me and asked me, well, you told me the vision and what you wanted. You asked me I'd be a part, and I said, of course. And so you had just a team of awesome speakers, coaches, strategists, um, just who were showing up and just giving people free knowledge. The
Right,
sad part, it was hardly anybody in there, but
right,
it was so much rich, expensive information that
right,
all of us were pouring out. And
right,
so, you know, your vision to serve and to just help people with knowledge, it served me. Like I was sitting there at all of some of the other speakers taking notes. And some of them have come into, you know, my own private world and helped me financial, prepare my credit, all that stuff. And so,
I'll tell
your
you.
vision to serve, yeah, yeah, for sure. Your
Yes,
vision to serve is something that I also align with. You know, I'm not just a therapist who owns a counseling practice. Like in private practice, people come to you, right? People who are privileged with insurance, people who are privileged with money come to you. But the way I conduct my business is we go to the people. So we provide community-based services. So we do free groups, workshops, free mental health awareness summits, pop-up events, because unfortunately, people that look like you and I aren't running to therapy, right? And so I'm like, all right, cool. Y'all not gonna come to me, I'll come to you.
Mm.
And that has been one of the biggest ways that we have been able to even get clientele, because people are familiar with our faces, not in our office or in our private space, but in their community. And
Mm.
so I am all about community wellness, community mental health, and just equipping people again with tools and strategies to live well, because life is hard. Life is hard. But when we become skilled at managing it, that's a skill that we can take for the rest of our life.
Definitely, and I understand that, and thank you for being skilled in your community, because you're all about community. I brought my sister to your office in St. Petersburg.
Mhm.
We don't get into the mobile thing that you got going on, but let's talk about just your core essence of just serving and being in your community. You're always outside, but not like that, but just putting yourself out there as a business owner and helping our people and everybody how to heal. You're the true testament on, hey, you know what? I'm not just doing this for money. I healed myself. I'll continue to be a healer. Now this is my business, and how can I help you? And I saw you pivot, and I just saw you pivot now. Let's talk about the new pivot that you got going on with the mobile licensed mental health mobile new vision. Let's talk about that.
Yes, 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 yes. So, okay, New Vision, when, let's see, 2024, New Vision went through a crisis. Um, and after the last two hurricanes that Florida has was impacted by in the Tampa Bay area, my business went completely broke. Completely broke. I had no money. I had to decide whether how I was either going to pay payroll or pay for our lease space. And I panicked. I panicked. I didn't know what to do. And I hit yet another crisis in my mental health, in my emotional health, and in my business. I realized my identity had become my business. My identity was formed by my business, and that's the last thing we want to do, because a business, as you see, can get impacted, can go away, can go bankrupt, and then you left with like, who am I, right? And so after that, when we were rebuilding, I was like, I heard God say, go back to the basics, go back to the basics of what I taught you, and that was just be a therapist. So I had to furlough a lot of my therapists, and I had 2 out of the 10 left. And I said, okay, God, I'm just going to be a therapist. And so I did that for a while. And then a vision that I had years ago to have a mobile wellness unit had popped back up. I happened to have some funding from a grant that I had gotten a couple years prior, for a lease space. They gave me permission to turn my lease space into a mobile space. And so I bought a 17-foot trailer, outfitted it, gutted it all out, and turned it into a mobile wellness space. In this space, we have been able to go out into communities, community events, or just park in a community and provide what we call emotional reset hours.
Mm.
Meaning, you know what, I'm going through something right now. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know. I'm all over the place. I just need to talk to somebody. They don't have to go through the hassle of, getting on my consultation calendar, scheduling with a patient, verifying insurance, none of that stuff. It's just easy access to somebody who they can unpack thoughts and feelings with and get some helpful tools and strategies. And so we are in the preliminary stages of that, trying to get funding and partners to support this initiative. But I am so excited with the future of this, because as someone who's all about bringing wellness to people, this is just giving me a vehicle literally to do that more efficiently and more effectively. And so I'm excited about our mobile wellness initiative. And I'm sure you and I are going to talk offline and figure out how we can blow that thing up for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I want to help you get in front of that, and that's my strategies and how I help people with business, because I went back to school for it, and I am
Yeah.
um, I will become Dr. McIntyre this
Hey.
because I didn't give up, because I wanted to
Yeah.
understand. I wanted to give my community. We don't know business, we know hustling, right? And a lot of people don't know how to pivot the right way. We say,
That's right.
pivot is a good word. Everybody's hashtagging it, but you know how to pivot for the best, pivot the right way.
That's
And I
right.
saw what you just did
Right.
with your mobile, and the community needs that. A lot of people don't have nobody they can talk to, or they're comfortable with, or just saying they don't need no judgment, right? Even when you have your family and your relationships and your kids, you might be able to tell them these stories, but make no mistake, people will judge if they're not healed themselves. They'll say, "Oh,
That's
I'm
right.
not say anything, or I'm not going to tell this person, or I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to do this. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes loose lips sink ships, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's a confidentiality agreement that we got to have internally with each other. Like, hey, let me. I just want to be honest. Can I just talk to you about this? And
Yeah.
you know that I just had a weekend. Shout out to AD Alexander the Great. He had a tour called Feel Better. He's doing every month in Orlando, sold out tour. Shout out to him. And it's just talking about positivity, how to feel better. And I would love for you to
That's good.
come out and pull up. And definitely, I have a retreat coming up in the fall, and I want to partner with you so you can pull up, bring the mobile, and just give free um, tidbits and counselings and teach a workshop on how to manage that mental health. You know, we talk about
Yeah.
it, but are you really doing the help? Who's really out here pushing that rhetoric, right? Right, we
That's
hashtag it and it looks good online, but are you really out here getting the help? And I thank you
that's
for
right.
out here, you right here, not only giving it to veterans, you giving it to everybody. So let's talk about the journey that you've been on since you had the mobile and your newfound energy that you have that you started last year to this year. Let's get into that.
Yeah, for sure. So, as a licensed therapist and a certified life coach, I like to marry the two, even in my clinical work, because I believe in being solution focused. I don't believe having a client in my office for years talking about the same issue. If they
Mm,
with me for years, it's because they realize I work and it's something new happening in the world that they need
right,
support on. But I realized that I was missing a population of people who were showing up, serving, leading, professional, look good, smell good, but they were seeing cycles in their lives and they were stuck, but running from the clinical space because they didn't want or need a diagnosis. And so now I am trying to, not trying to, I am merging myself into more of the executive leadership coaching, employee workplace space, because there are a subset of people who are not getting the support they need because of stigma, because they don't need a mental health diagnosis, or they just don't have the right strategists to help them identify patterns, identify strategies to live well daily. And so I created a framework by the name of the Clarity Framework. And Clarity stands for cultivating awareness, learning emotional mastery. Um, of course, when I'm on the spot, I can't remember it, but learning how to thrive in daily life. And so this was a framework I had to use when I went broke, when my mental health was at question again, as a leader, as a CEO, as a business owner, to rebuild myself. I needed a framework that could help me see myself, see my blind spots, and identify patterns as well as strategies to live and think well. And so I am now bringing this framework to organizations, to professionals in the format of coaching and workshops and training. And so this is one of the things I'm going to bring to your retreat, because I believe that you have a great audience. You have an audience of dynamic people, but they are not exempt from struggle. They are
right.
not exempt from life. And as you know, JR, it is lonely on the top, right?
It-
It is lonely on the top.
Let's talk about
So yes, so we need safe places where we can go and say, "Hey, I'm not okay. I don't know what's going on." That we don't have to worry about the stigma of being diagnosed and treatment and all that stuff. They can just unpack and get some tools and strategies to figure out how to move from where they are or where they've been to where they really want to go mentally, emotionally, and then in leadership.
definitely, and I love how you put that because that's how you. Right now, we transition to that segment, how to activate your gift. You just did it. So you went through how to get in front of your ugly. We went through some trials and tribulations. We understood. We had all the tools, but we needed to just reset and put the value. And that's what this year is about: the reset. And it's harvest season. So everything you've been planting for the last 3 or 4 years, it's about to sprout this year. You know you're gonna get these
Yeah.
grants, you're gonna get them loans, you're gonna get them new people coming in. I'm speaking
It's
life.
already happening.
I can see it
Yes,
in
it's
your face.
already happening.
Yes, I'm so happy because I remember when it was dark days for us. And I remember when I was
Mhm.
just praying for each other, even when you started to go under with your business, and I just supported you because I knew how that felt. I didn't know how I could help
Yeah,
you. I just knew I just held space for you because you did for me. You know what I'm saying? Like how can I
yeah.
How can I be there for you? How can two people that understand each other just be there without the distractions? Hey, just be in the gap, stand in the gap for each other. And I did that for you, and
Yeah.
you did that for me. And now you're activating your gift, and it sounds so good because I remember, I remember we talked about our dream, and I tell people all the time, when you speak words of affirmation and manifestation, your words are real. They're powerful. Stop speaking negative over your life. Stop saying I ain't and
Yeah.
I'm not and all these things that put you down. Start saying, hey, I was calling myself Dr. McIntyre when I first met you, and I was still in my master's.
Mm-hmm.
But look, because and people, some people didn't understand that. It was like, no, you could go to jail, and I'm like, yeah, I don't even want to talk to you. Get out. You want to send me to jail, but calling me Dr. McIntyre, but you got these rappers out here proclaiming them something else. At least I
Mm.
believe it in myself. So I had a few people I
Yeah.
had to cut off. And I had a few people
Wow.
that was family and friends, and I said, you know what, I can't talk to you or deal with you like that because you're not seeing a vision. Or you know your credibility or you being authentic is not accurate because you're calling yourself that. That's not. I'm calling myself that because I'm on my way to that. And I tell people all the time, I don't speak about nothing that I never had my hands on. So I can't tell
Mm.
you a Mercedes or a Lamborghini if I never test drove it or even owned it. But social media says you can talk about whatever you need to talk about, even if you're not a professional. No,
Mm-hmm.
you're a professional licensed mental health counselor. You can go in there and you can talk about it, but you got, we used to call it back in the military, you got barracks, lawyers, and doctors that are self-proclaimed. You ain't went through that school or that study. You got an honorary and lawyer, but you don't. You didn't go through that. You didn't go through that work, and that's what we're dealing with. And now I am breaking away from that path that nobody could come in my life and tell me something or give me advice or something that I'm doing that they're not doing. I'm not allowed it no more. I can't allow
Yeah.
for you to tell me from behind the screen or in my face something I'm doing, let alone if you know that I'm doing that, you're not supporting me on social media. I don't see your likes, I don't see your comments, I don't see anything. So the nerve of you to come and tell me I should switch this up or do this, and you're not doing it. So now I'm in
Mm.
my place in my life is called the villain era. Well, it's not bad. I'm embracing my villain and I'm embracing my character and saying, hey, you know what? I'm gonna speak for what's right, whether you like it or love it. I'm gonna impact you. I'm gonna do what I gotta do because there is a lane for me. I'm not trying to be
Yeah.
nobody else. I worked hard. They said to perfect your craft, it's over 10,000 hours. You clearly have done that. You have clearly
Yeah.
done the work, and you continue to do the work, and you continue to show up for yourself, your family, your husband every day, and you serve, and then you go out in the community and you serve. How do you feel about that?
Listen, I didn't used to hold my trophies, right? I used
Oh,
to like do one thing on to the next, do one thing on to the next. And I realized that what was driving me was like FOMO and imposter syndrome, like fear of missing out. Well, what if I don't do this? And then imposter syndrome. Well, I need to hustle or do a little bit more so people can know I'm authentic, or I need to do this so people can know. And then I had to realize like that was not gonna work. That was burning me out quickly, and I still didn't get the respect that I thought I needed. And so now I sit and I hold my trophies. I acknowledge the things that I have done. I acknowledge the things that I do well. And I live in that. I really do. I live in that. And so I'm slowing down. I'm listening to my body now. I'm listening to what's going on in my internal systems. I'm tapping in people who I know can see me and can give me honest, supportive feedback. I am allowing myself to rest more. And so I'm excited for this new journey because I needed to go through a process in order for me to lead other people through the process, right? You know, that's what we as shepherds do.
mm,
We look over the flock, we look over sheep, but shepherds put themselves in danger to protect their flock. They
right.
put themselves in crossfires in order to protect their flock. And so shepherds don't can't pay attention to outsiders because it distracts them from their sheep, their flock. It
Mm,
distracts them from their calling. And so I am learning how to tune out the noise. I am learning to listen to the voice of God versus the voice of Satan. And then I'm trusting myself. I'm trusting myself and I'm trusting the process. I don't see everything today, but I see the growth from where I used to be to where I am now, and I'm letting that be what fuel me.
And I
Yeah.
love it. I see the growth, and I'm proud of you, and I
Yes,
appreciate
you
you for
are.
just I tell people all the time, it's not about like who runs it the fastest or whatever race you got. Just stay inside the race. Stay
In
consistent.
your race. Yep.
Just and that's the thing between us. We stay consistent through everything we've been through. We was just consistent, and that's what I'm
Yes.
good. Just saying, okay, you might be stronger, faster, taller, all these things, but I'm on you. I'm coming.
That's
Don't
right.
miss out. And I look up, January 2025, and I became top 50 motivational speakers on LinkedIn. I'm number 44. I got a lot of speaking engagements. God has been so good to me, and a lot of us
Yes.
acknowledge that. And I always like to tell people at the motivators table what my north star is, and that's definitely the prayer of my father and my grandmother, and teaching me how to and allowing me to figure out God myself. Right, my dad's a bishop,
Yeah.
never forced it. You know what I'm saying on me. I just watched how he lived his life and the people around him and things like that, and you know
And
what
it's
I'm
in you.
saying. Yeah.
It's in you because let me tell you, when we were both in our struggle, you would send me these prayers, and I'd be like, Jesus, did you just go? Did you go tell him what I was going through? I mean, the prayers would be like the devotion and the prayers were so on point. I was like, how is he doing this? But it was just, it was the Lord using you and your gift of prophecy to where you were reaching small audiences. I was a small audience, but you don't understand how those prayers, those devotions were meeting me where I was and exactly what I needed. So, when I met your dad, I was like, okay, I get it. Your dad, with his humble spirit,
Yeah.
and he looks so down to earth, and he is down to earth, but there's certainly a gifting that he has passed on to you. And
Yeah.
so I thank you for allowing your North Star to meet my North Star because God is everything for me. And that's
Right.
probably the only reason why that is the only reason why I'm still here. And so, yeah, I thank you for tapping into your faith and allowing me to tap into mine as we encourage each other.
Definitely. I appreciate you for just being that clear and healthy energy and mind, and always being. You always smiled at me. Always gave me hope. So I appreciate you. So let's talk about the future. What's in the future for New Vision and yourself?
Well, New Vision is back.
Let's
And so like I've gotten about three new therapists that they found me and they wanted to join me. And I was like, okay, Lord, are we ready? And it's obvious that we are. And so we are serving Tampa, Clearwater, St. Pete. We are going into spaces where the youth are who need the support. So we're giving it to them young, but we're also going into spaces where there are adults who are established and are still figuring life out. And so we are just serving our community. We offer telehealth as well as in-person services, and now we have the mobile unit that we're pushing out, as well as the consulting and the coaching. And so I'm working on some other opportunities to where people don't have to get my time, but they can still get my knowledge and my expertise at their own pace. And so I'm all about creating while I can. So when it's time to rest, I can rest and still get paid.
I love that. I love that because a lot of times that congratulations first of all on the pivot and how far you have grown and coming and things like that. But we have to take each other's advice and rest. My rest days are Thursday. I speak this Thursday at USF, but I'm intentional about my rest. Last night I
Yeah,
was doing homework and I'm overwhelmed and going through all these because I'm still a full time student, and I just shut
same.
the computer off and said, you know what, I'm gonna rest. And I woke up this morning rejuvenated, and then we talked to each other. I said, hey, I got another slot open. Let's get on here. Let's sit at the motivators table and show people how we conversate. And this is what we do. And we were supposed to have been on each other's podcasts and things like that, but it's timing. It's God timing, you know. And
Yeah.
you know, and I see you got a new thing too. You're Mrs. McGraw. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about
Yeah.
your new marriage and how healthy it looks on you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep. I got married to Jermaine McGraw. When did I get married? July the 3rd.
Everything.
And that in itself was a testament to many things. How you don't judge a book by its cover, you don't count a person out, you
Mm,
can't determine how God is going to use them, and how becoming what you want needs to happen before you get what you want. And
mm,
so I thank God that I had became what I needed to be in order to be a wife again, because this was not my first rodeo.
right.
And that I also allowed a man to become who he needed to be for me right there before my eyes, and not counting him out because he wasn't perfect. And
Mm,
so, yes, here we are, doing life together. And I tell you, it feels good when you have somebody that's on the same page, and who can support you when you sometimes can't support yourself. And so I enjoy being Mrs. McGraw, and I look forward to, yeah, our partnership, because he's also in the nonprofit space, and
talk
he's
about it.
starting to do big things and serve his community. And so, yeah, God is good.
I love that. I would love to have him too on the motivators table. So let him know that I would love to have him as a guest, and I'm proud of you. You
Oh,
are
sure.
so like radiant and glowing because you're happy now, and that's what you
Thank
deserve.
you.
You worked so
Thank
hard to
you.
get this moment and all the pinup clothes that thing, being a mother, being a wife, like your business, and in school too. And right now, what are you in school for?
I am getting my doctorate in industrial and organizational psychology. Yep.
Talk about it. Look
Yeah,
at that.
it's funny because I was thinking about dropping my class. I was like, you
No,
know what?
no,
Nope, I'm not doing this. This is too
no.
much. It's too hard.
Yeah.
And my mom, I talked to my mom. I love my mom so much. And she was like, Zanita, nothing worth having comes easy. And you know, nothing that you required was easy. So,
Mm.
like, this isn't new. Keep going. So here I am. And you know, made me put it out there. So now I got to keep going.
Let's go. Come on. That's why I made you put it out there because you ain't giving up. We running this
Yeah.
race together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Remember when I graduated and I jumped right back. I jumped right back into my doctorate by the grace of God. It has not been easy, but I wanted to show the world what it looks like coming from a little boy that grew up, that was born and raised in Long Beach, California, that never changed. Always wanted to pay homage from where I came from. That's why I wear the Long Beach hat. But also let people know that you can be who you need to be. Because if
Yeah.
God gave you that gift, you can run with it. And I think you actually,
Right.
Gerald, what are you going to utilize the doctorate for? I'm already doing it. I'm already doing it. It's
Yeah.
already opening doors for me and making me understand who I am and projecting that. And I love it because I walk in my own purpose, and I'm
Yeah.
one, and God have gave that to me. So I want right now for you to tell people how they can find you on social media with New Vision and everything you got going on, and then I'm gonna pour it to you.
Sure, absolutely. So, my Facebook is at Zanita Ellison, I think it says Zanita Ellison, or New Vision Behavioral Health. You can put in both of those. My Instagram is NVBH underscore 2011, and my LinkedIn is Zanita Ellison. And so you can find us there. Our website is www.newvisionbehavioralhealth.org. So behavioral, health.org. I would love for y'all to find us. We have something for anybody and everybody. And if we don't, we'll point you in the right direction of someone who could.
Yes, and I love that. And leave us with a quote that's been on your mind, a Bible verse or something that's been burning deep in your soul.
Okay. So there is a verse that I found. Um, Let me see, because I write everything down.
Okay.
But it's Luke chapter 1, verse 45. And it says, Blessed is she who has believed that the Lord will fulfill his promises to her. And so I don't care who you are, male or female, when you believe that the Lord will fulfill his promises, you then are blessed. And so keep believing, keep having hope. Don't give up on where you are. The pain you're feeling now is temporary. I promise you, just keep waking up in the morning. It will get better, but you have to be intentional. Help is around the corner. You just got to look and ask. And so I'm so excited to be on this podcast. This is a testimony of when life throws you lemons, you got two options. You can suck them or make lemonade.
There
And
you
so
go.
JR and I, we made lemonade, and you
Yep.
have the ability and the tools to make lemonade too.
Definitely. I appreciate you. Right now, before you leave the motivators table, I know it's in the morning and you're getting started and it's Monday. We want to tell you, the motivators table, that we're proud of you and we love you, and keep going and don't stop, because at the end of the day, like, you may be entertaining angels unawarely, so you do not know who you inspire.
Yeah.
You inspire me to keep going, so just make sure that you understand you are you. You one of one. Don't change nothing that you got going on. God made you. Continue to keep your foot on their necks. Continue
Hey.
to love your family, you love your union, your marriage, your union, support your husband, everything, because guess what? The narrative is that we can't do that right now. You are
Yeah.
doing it and you're showing that you can be loved again. And I love that,
Yes.
because what it does is show your daughter that she can continue to do what she needs to do too, and your kids and everything's like that. So we're proud of you here at the Motivators table. Don't stop what you're doing. You are special, and keep going, and we love you. And motivators, you already know what time it is. This is why we brought Miss Zanetta on. We want to make sure we understand that, hey, motivators, you got to mount up. When you come in this table, you're going to leave here inspired. You're going to run through that brick wall and say, you know what? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So you know
Yes.
that. You know what time we on. You know when you sit here, I'm not going to let you go without being inspired. Thank you, Los Angeles Tribune. Thank you, Pro Immune, for giving me the sponsorship. Thank you for Riverside for giving me the platform. I appreciate you guys, and thank you for everything we're doing in this community, and I love you. Boom.